Hi guys, this morning I am going to do a different kind of video because chances are everyone's getting on lockdown again soon in your state. It is before Halloween where I live right now. So everyone's got some time on their hands probably. So you guys probably don't know this about me, but I used to run a soy candle business where I made candles for like the Mayo Clinic and private label and fundraisers, and I had a shop, and so that is my former life before I got a nerve thing in my arm. So I am going to teach you guys how to make soy candles. Now, as you can see, I got a bunch of wicked jars here out. I actually have always recycled my containers, so any containers that you have around you can use. What you want to do if you're emptying out an old candle, like if you just got whatever, is you're actually going to want to find an old cookie pan or something that you don't care that much about, and you're going to stick all of your jars on it and stick it in your oven at like 200 degrees for I don't know how long, probably about 10 or 20 minutes till the old wax in there is liquefied. Then you're just going to want to have like a tin can or something to pour that in, something that you also don't care about. Could be plastic, it's not going to get that hot. And pour the old wax in there, and then just have like a paper towel or old rag or something to wipe your candles out, and then give them a good washing. I've got some, let me see, these I actually got from like a set of Libby cups, just because I wanted the 8-ounce tumblers from it. This is actually my grandma's old sugar jar, a sugar bowl. It's a Vaseline bowl, so it's got really thick sides on it. These are just dollar candles that I've burnt. So the thing with candles are the containers are the most expensive part, so you're going to want to probably recycle some. A lot of people use canning jars. I used to use canning jars a lot just because they had a uniform size and everything. I think I got these at the Dollar Tree during the summer to pour for particular people for Mother's Day. And I'm also big on like teacups. So if you got teacups, now I'm going to tell you something about wicking candles. So wicking soy candles is a little bit different than wicking paraffin. I actually wick up with soy candles because they make a bigger melt pool for you than the traditional paraffin candle. And they make a bigger melt pool, meaning they're going to be a lot stronger as well. So for my wax, I encourage you guys to shop local, clearly. And in Minnesota, we have Cargill, which is the maker of a soy wax that I get. Now, if you're ordering large amounts of soy, you'll know that you're going to place your order for the soy, and your cost is actually going to go on what the stock market is exchanging at for soy that day. So the prices can go up and down. You guys probably won't order like, I don't know, thousands of pounds of soy candle wax at a time. Maybe you will, I'm not sure. But there's soy companies all over the country, and then there's also candle supply companies all over the country. So just because of the huge amount of actually shipping charges, I do encourage you guys to go to a local company. I know they sell it on Amazon by like 10 pound batches. They're super, super expensive. So if you guys need like some soy, like just email me and I will sell you a smaller amount for like, at cost, much cheaper, because they upprice that pretty high for you guys. So now I'm going to talk about the wicking. Your wicks, now if you go to a local candle supplier, they're going to have a suggestion for what wicks to use with the pertinent wax types that you're using. Clearly you don't have to use pure soy. I use pure soy, but you could use a soy mix, or I think they do palm and everything now, but soy is used strictly for containers just because it is so soft And the whole point of pouring soy is it lasts like 3 times longer than paraffin, and it gets a bigger melt pool, so you're actually going to get a lot more fragrance from it. So let's just look at the sizes here. Now this is just like a, I don't know, an old candle holder thing. I like the blue ones. You find them all over the place. And your particular wick that you use will give you a suggested size. Like I said, I usually up wick for soy, but then you do have to trim it a little bit more. It's just my particular, that's what I do after like 20 years of pouring soy. I hate saying 20 years. It makes me so old. Okay. Anyway. Oh, and you can see on my hand I was wiping out soy candles. So for this size, I think they would usually recommend, I don't know, what is that, like 2.5 inches circumference up here. If I were to guesstimate, maybe 3. Then usually I think they would recommend like a smaller wick. I wicked these with I use a paper core. I don't use lead in my candle wicks, just because lead in the air is not the best thing. So I use a organic paper core for my candles, particularly. And I believe I wicked these with 6. Most people would recommend a 4. But these are my personal candles, so I will not. Oh, that's a little shabby. That's kind of cute. Anyway, you will find what you need. Like, before you give candles out to anybody, you always want to do a test burn, and you always want to pour them about 3 days. I guess it could actually be 2 or 1 before you burn them, because you want them to be able to set up appropriately. So what I use to wick these, actually put the wicks in your candles. They've got wick stickies and all this fancy stuff. I use a glue gun with like regular glue, just because it's easier for me. My right hand is not as mobile as it used to be, so that's what I find easiest. And what I do when I have the wick, let me just pull a wick here and show you guys. I guess I should have recorded the actual process, but you guys will get it. So the wicks come, and they're pretty long. So you're just going to want to trim. Actually, this is what I do. I like trim it. I'd trim this one to about here, just to make it easier to handle. And then you're just going to want to put like a little bit of glue on the bottom, and then just stick that down into the middle of your candle holder. And I'm just going to go over some of the sizes here so I don't forget. So the average canning jar, I always wick these with a 12, just because that gets a really big, perfect melt pool on them. And that's what I found works the best for me. Some people would wick those with a 10, but then if people you're giving these to, or make these for yourself, if they're not going to burn these a couple hours at a time, then you're going to get actually a hole going down through the middle of the candle, because it's not going to get the outsides all the way. So I wick those with a 12. Now if you look at the circumference of the regular canning jar, you can kind of size the rest of your things from that size. So that if I did this with a 12, like, and this candle here is bigger. Let's see if we can get this in. This is a little bit bigger, and it's got really solid thick sides. So I would wick this with a 12 or even a 14 on this one. This one's about the size of a canning jar, so this has got a 12 in it. These here, I believe I wicked these with a 10, just because if you see they're fatter in the middle, you want to pay attention to the smallest part of the candle and the widest part of the candle, because the widest part of this candle is pretty wide. I wicked this with a 10. And let me show you. So you always want to pay attention to the smallest part of your candle. Let me see if I got an odd candle that I can show you here. I don't really, but so if the bottom of your okay, here's one. So if the bottom of your candle holder is a lot smaller than the diameter of the top, like usually you could wick this with a 12 or a 14. But since the bottom is so small and it's It is pretty thick, but not the thickest. You might want to go down to a 10 on this one. And you're also going to want to pay attention to the thickness or thinness of your candle holder. If you're actually using recycled containers, which I'm sure you all will love to do. Now, this was actually one that I had poured for my wedding like 11 years ago. And it's antique and it's really thin, not as thick. So you're going to want to wick thin things down. Usually you could do that with a 12. I think I went down to actually an 8 wick on this one, just because it is so thin, and I am going to, this is for myself, so I'm going to know to actually burn this for long periods of time to get the melt pool bigger on this, to have that work out correctly. Like if you just have, let's compare this. So this is, I really like this container. I report it all the time. And if you look at that compared to a size of a canning jar, you know, it's a little bit smaller. So I did wick this one with a 10. So that's kind of an overview of how to wick your candles. Now, I don't even bother with actual tea light candles on my soy, just because they're putsy. Like, you can buy tea lights for like, I don't know, $1 for 30, I think, at places. But if you were to wick, if I have done tea lights before, if you were to wick those with soy, those take a 2. It's just so small it's such a small amount of wax to actually pour. It seems really putsy to me, so I don't do those. Another thing with the soy wax is, so you can get these little clamshells from places. This is actually one of my old retail things that I had out. So you can actually just, you don't even have to wick the candles if you prefer the just pour things, or the little tart things. You can use those, and you don't even need like an actual, those are called clamshell tart molds, which you just pour them in and then people pop them out when they're about to use them. You actually don't need those particularly. Like, you can use any kind of container. Like if you got those silicone ice cube trays, you could use those. You could just use like any reusable container that has a little flex to it. You're not going to want to use like a tin can, because you'll never be able to get the soy out. But you could use soy it doesn't get too hot when you pour it. You're going to want to pour it at about, well, depending upon the scent, probably about around like 120 you're going to want to pour it at. So it's going to feel like hot to your hands, but not so hot that it's going to like totally scald you. It's got a lower melt point than paraffin, so it's going to be easier to pour. So here's one that I did. It's like a big crystal container. It's got 3 wicks in it. You're going to want to put those wicks appropriately apart. I'd say that this is about about a 6.5 inch container here. So I think I wicked those with 3/8, just because I'm going to know to have a bigger melt pool. You might want to do 3/10 on those, just because you got to imagine the circumference of, you're going to imagine a circle of the melt pool around each wick. So, but this is really thick as well. I mean, it's like lead crystal, so you're going to be pretty safe doing that. Okay, so here's one with a smaller top. You can see it's got a big fat base but a smaller top, so you're going to want to actually wick to the smallest diameter part of the candle. So I believe I did this one in a 10. You could go 12 if you're looking at the fat part, but you don't want to break the glass. And you're always going to want to use sturdier glass. Like you can get these little, I don't know, I think there was like pesto in here. So this is a little tiny mason. I believe I did that with an 8 or a 10. 8 probably, just looking at it. So after a while you'll be able to eye these. Until you can eye them, always, of course, go for what your manufacturer suggests for the particular candles. And right now I have my soy wax melting in a 200 degree oven in just a big ol', think it's a turkey roaster, like an old one that I don't use anymore. If you have an electric turkey roaster and you're going to make a lot of candles, you can also put the soy wax in there. It only has to be, like, put it to the lowest setting, so I think that's like 200 degrees usually. And then you're going to want to, as it melts, kind of mash it up. It usually comes in flakes or little beads, soy wax does. So that's so you're just going to scoop it into your container. Either put it in your oven, of course, with something under it, because wax in your oven is not going to be a good idea. This is going to be a mess. And you're not going to want it to, excuse me, catch on fire either. So you're just going to want to get it to a nice melt point for you. So that is after you have your candles wicked, you're just going to want to figure out what scents you're going to do. Now, your local candle supply company will have scents. You can use essential oils. If you use pure essential oils, you're going to want your candles to cool off actually quite a bit after you pour them and start to look a little bit foggy, and then mix your essential oils in, because essential oils, of course, clearly dissipate in the air quite quickly. I made a rose candle for my sister this spring. And because you're going to want to use about an ounce of scent, usually they recommend. So you're going to want to use an ounce of scent about for each 16 ounce, like regular canning jars. Well, technically it's 12 ounces where you pour it up to. But you're going to want to use it, if you just keep in mind like an ounce of scent per 16 ounce of wax, you're kind of going to know about what to use. Now, your different scent companies will have different formulas for you as well. If you're using essential oils, you can use a lot less, but your wax is going to have to be a lot cooler before you pour it. Now, just eyeing these, I would say that this is about a 4-ounce candle. So I would use 0.45 on that. If you put too much wax in your candles, like your candles aren't going to set up, they're going to be mushy. On the little tea lights, I'd say I'd use about 0.2 scent on those. If we look at one of the 8-ounce tumblers, you're going to want to use about, I don't know, 0.5. Yeah, so this could actually be 0.3, or you'll get used to what you're scenting it. And you're also going to have a digital scale. You can do the math. Here's my super dirty, it's already got wax on it from before, digital scale. I got this off of Amazon. I think it was like $12. So when you get to the point, I'm just going to push all this over. I got candles all over my table. So when you get to the point where you're actually pouring your I pre-scent the actual candles before I pour the wax in, because usually I do a lot at a time. I don't like to putz around with like one or two. So you want to turn your unit on. I don't have this plugged in, so let's see if the batteries are actually... Okay, so you're going to turn your unit on. You're going to make sure that it is equating to ounces here. Let me just see if I can... So you want to pour in ounces. Now my finger's on that, so clearly it's weighing something. So this is on ounces. You usually have multi-functions here that you can go through, like by pushing it, it'll go to like ounce, grams, whatever, depending upon what you're making. You want to stick a candle on there, and you're not going to be able to see what it's weighing out on the camera for some reason. Then you're going to want, there's going to be a tare button. So when you push tare, it's going to zero out the actual weight of the candle jar, so you're not going to be equating that into the mix. And then you're just going to want to pour your scent in until it gets up to the amount that you're going to use. So like I said, if this is measuring by ounces, you got 0.00 ounce. So if this was like I'm going to tear that out again. If this was, a regular canning jar candle, you could put up to 1 ounce, or I usually do, in the candle. So you're just going to want to pour the scent into the candle until it gets to 1.0 or even like 0.9 or something, just close enough. And then you can actually sit because you used hot glue to put those wicks in. Like, the wicks aren't going to loosen up or anything. They're just going to sit there nicely for you until you're ready to pour the wax in, which I will get a bunch of my scents in the candles to kind of show you what that's like. And then we'll actually go through the process of pouring the melted wax into it, stirring it to make sure that the scent is all over, and then standing up your wicks. So, alright guys, see you soon. Hi guys, so I have all of my candles wicked and scented. If you look, I've just got, the scents at the bottom. I used hot glue for the wicks so I don't have to worry about them floating anywhere. And I did measure them out on my scale. So this is when you have your soy wax heated up to the appropriate temperature, and you're just going to pour them out. Now you can melt them in a metal thing, like I said, like an old, you can actually have an electric turkey roaster so you can control the temperature, or just like an old metal thing and stick in your oven at like 200. You might want to, if you haven't poured before, haven't made soy candles before, you might want to have a temperature gauge. I just stick my finger in there. See, here's soy wax on my finger. And I just kind of see that it's hot enough to pour. If it's not hot enough to pour, you're going to get sinkholes in it. So you don't want to do that. And you want to have your room pretty warm, no drafts. Otherwise, you'll also have sink holes in the candles as well. And I like to leave mine bunched together because just like when a crystal is forming or a rock is forming at a cooled stage, you will get roughness. Forget that. That's not a good analogy there. Not a lot of you are rock nerds. So if you don't have if your candles cool too fast, you'll get sinkholes. So I usually bunch them all together. And I actually put my soy wax into a plastic pour just because it has a pour thing on it. So you're just going to want to pour up to where you feel comfortable with having that wick. And you're going to see some of the scents are going to blend right in as you're pouring. You're also going to want to just do a quick stir after you get them poured. So let me show you how. I'm just seeing if I get enough wax to do any other little. I probably got enough. I'll just stir them up now. So I am really easy. So I just actually use like popsicle sticks you can get at like a craft store. And I stir them up. Now all of these have the same scents in them, so I can kind of cross stir them. All of these in this bunch have the same scents in them. You're going to want to use a different popsicle stick for different scents, clearly. You don't want to cross-contaminate. And I am using today fragrance oils that have a base of essential oils, but it also has a carrier oil, so I'm able to pour these candles hot. Now if you are using pure essential oils like I am for the pink teacup candle, you're going to want to actually pour that after you let your soy sit up and cool for a little bit, because those essential oils will dissipate. So then I just use popsicle sticks as well, because I'm easy and I don't like to spend money on a bunch of equipment, and I've always done it like this, like even when I had my big shop and wholesale business. So and you're just going to want to kind of balance the wicks there, make sure they're straight, pulled up. It's pretty self-explanatory. Now this wick, clearly I did not cut short enough, so I'm going to go back and cut that. It's not a big deal. It doesn't like, soy doesn't solidify as fast as paraffin, so it's not going to matter if it's not exactly right. It's pretty forgiving. I'm just going to grab a couple more sticks here. Now you don't always need 2 sticks. Sometimes you can just set them up with one like this. Just make sure that they're centered in the middle of your candle, the wicks, when you put the sticks in. And I did take some pictures, so I'll put that into the video here or somewhere, just showing how you want to look right straight down on your candle and see that the wicks are straight, because otherwise you're going to have to use a heat gun afterwards to straighten out the top of them, because you can pull your wicks when it's still relatively cool. Now soy, depending upon the warmth of your area, it's going to set up, I don't know, pretty quickly. I don't have exact times. You guys will see when you make them. The outside will set up first. If you're pouring a big, and usually the popsicle sticks, you can just kind of squeeze them against your wick. The wicks are usually covered with a little bit of wax, so it will kind of stick there for you. I did pour some up already. Some are solidified, you know, so they're all done. And you're just going to want to wait to trim those wicks again after you're done. You don't want to move your candles clearly after you have them poured. You're going to want to have them in an area that is not going to get touched for a while. So those are able to set up straight. The candles you do have at the edge of your pour area may get some roughness on the top, or if you over scented your candles, then it may get some roughness on the top, but you don't really, you know, you can always go back with a heat gun and straighten that all out if you want a perfect candle. Also, if you are putting something into your candle, sometimes I stick, if I'm making candles for a specific reason, sometimes I do stick some rocks or stones in the bottom of them. You don't have to do this. You're going to want to clearly use something that's non, you know, it won't catch on fire, because that would be terrible. But you can stick them in the top. Let me just get some. All right. So I got some jade here. A couple jade stones. Well, I guess got one jade stone now. And I poured myself this green candle. It's one of them I use for meditation. And if you can see, let me get it out into the camera. It is like semi set up. So if you want to put stones in, this one's not going to go down into the wax as much. It will sink down a little bit. You're going to want to set them in at this stage. Let me just get some bigger. Alright, it looks like I got I'll stick some rose quartz in it. Alright, so I got some rose quartz, and you can just actually drop that into the top and push it down a little bit. The middle of this candle is liquefied. You're going to see some liquid coming out there, but you just want to stick that in a little bit. And then, since they're actually natural stones, they're not going to burn, they're not going to explode or anything. It's going to be fine. They're just going to be in the candle until you're done with it. See, and you could get some cracking on the top. Clearly, whew, that one's going down somewhere in the middle. Clearly, when you do that, you're going to want to use a heat gun to straighten out the top after it's actually solidified. But you can use like little stones, little crystals with this as well. And let me see, I have some Swarovski glass beads. You can actually use that as well because they're glass. They're not going to melt or catch on fire or do anything like that. So let me just stick a couple of these in here so you guys see what I'm talking about. And with wax, it's going to get such a big melt pool, or with soy, it's going to get a big melt pool on it. So it's actually going to burn really nicely if you actually want to put crystals or whatever in the top. Soy is perfect for it because it's not going to affect your, it's not going to burn down in the middle of the candle because it gets such a big melt pool on it. So if you want to stick some rocks in there, let me just get a couple more to make that a little evener on the top. All right, so let me see, I got some obsidian, I got a tiny thing of ammonite, and let me see what else that is, and a piece of turquoise. So, whoop. So yeah, so you'll get used to that. If I had some little chunky crystal, actually chunks, that would look really good on that. I've made them like that before, but I had no idea I was making this video this morning for you guys. I just go with it. Yeah, so if you got the little crystal chips, those look amazing on the tops of the candles. I might be doing that with the teacup candle today, and if I do that, if I can find my amethyst chips, I will show you how that pours out. But yeah, so you can stick stuff in it. Don't stick flammable stuff. Sometimes you see soybeans in soy candles, but you know, those do have a chance of starting up like a wick. So just to let you know that is a cautionary tale with the beans in the soy candles. If you know, you're going to want someone to take that out when they burn the candle, because it is a fire hazard, and there's a little piece of mother of pearl there. So the nice thing about the crystals, if you put them into the top, they're going to catch the light of the flame, and it's just going to be, depending upon who you're giving it to. If they're a Gemini, they want lots of bling. Then, you know, they want extra. So that just depends, you know. Or if you're making something like as a remembrance candle, they do have like the shaped stones, or Swarovski, like here's a butterfly. If you had somebody who, like, maybe you're making them a Day of the Dead candle, you just stick a butterfly in. If you're making them for their mom or whoever. Alright, so that is how you pour the candles, and now it's just like seriously waiting for them to set up, seeing if you need to do any kind of aesthetics to the tops of the candles. Let me just show you a couple that are poured already, and these have only set up for, I'd say, like, I don't know, 45 minutes. So this top of this candle is pretty fantastic. It's nice and smooth. I don't have to worry about that one. This candle was actually at the edge of the edge of the table where I poured it. So if you just see, if you're a perfectionist, like I am, I will probably use, I'll probably zap that with the heat gun a little bit just to get that smoothed out after it's poured. Okay, so the thing about color, I don't color my candles because they're soy, and I try and make them as natural as possible. When I'm making them, you can certainly get color chips, and no one's going to say anything. Like, I'm not going to be like, don't use color in soy, because it's all up to, you know, what you personally prefer. But buy the actual color chips from the manufacturer that's suggested for the type of wax that you're using. Don't just like use food coloring, because that's not going to work out for you. And don't use just crayons, because that's a different type of wax, and although it may blend with your soy, you know, you're going to have impurities that are burning in your house. And if you're using soy wax, in addition to just the, you know, bigger melt pool and a larger scent throw, so it's a very fragrant candle, it's going to have impurities in there, and it kind of goes against, you know, what soy is all about. So if you do have the clamshells, really, they'll usually come. Now this one's really old. This is like a I don't know how old this is. It's really old though, so it looks kind of crusty, guys. So the clamshells come like that, and as you can see, like, I just there's still soy in there. It's kind of gross. Sorry, guys. So anyway, you get the clamshells, and then you'll just have them out, and actually pour into them, and you don't have to worry about wicking or anything. Or if you have a different type of container, like if you want to make a big tart or something, you can use like a soap container, or like I said, the silicone, like ice cube molds or whatever. Like anything works for it. And actually, after you pour them, if you get impatient, you just stick them in the freezer. After they set up a little bit, like if they were setups at this point, I'd say, then you can just stick them in the freezer, and then they're easy to pop out. If you're gonna like put them in a different kind of bag or container, or a little box or something, if you're gifting them to people. So yeah, okay. And I did take some pictures of me wicking and pouring the scent into this guy. So this guy's a double. See, and I said to leave your candles in one spot, and then I'm gonna push all these candles. But they're really, when they're still in liquid form, like, you can really do whatever. It's when they start setting up, actually, that that you're not gonna want to move them around much, because then you're gonna get, you know, just imperfect waves in your candle. So I got this guy, and he's a double wick, and like I said, when I wicked him, I just guesstimated this is about 16 ounces, because it's about the size, it's going to hold about the size as one of the, you know, regular canning jars. So I know that's going to hold about a pound of wax. And I wicked him twice with 10s. So if you look at the diameter, if you imagine a circle around that, you're going to get about how far you should wick him at. And because he was a 16 ounce, like a pound of wax, I used a full ounce of scent in him. And it's also really thick, so it's safe to wick up the way that I like to. Now, when you pour him, you know, you're going to want to have like 4 sticks around to hold up your wicks. And you're just going to balance them in the same way. So, yeah. So, all right, guys. I hope you're, I don't know, having fun creating things through the coronavirus. And, you know, people love candles, and maybe not a lot of people can afford candles right now. So it's a really nice gift to give people. Okay, so I wanted to mention too, I am pouring an antique, like a depression glass blush teacup for one of my friends, because she's doing the luxury goddess baths right now. So the thing with me in lavender, I have a thing with lavender. It's just my thing with lavender. It doesn't have to be anybody else's thing. My mom loved lavender. I always stick a base of vanilla or some softer scent in lavender, especially if it's going to be like, I'm pouring this in blush, so that makes me think of, like, if you're thinking of the chakras, you know, green is for the heart, but to me pink is self-love. So I'm pouring this with the intention for her, you know, that she's able to burn this by her baths and have self-love. So I did put a base to make the lavender, the traditional essential oil lavender, not as medicinal. I did put a base of vanilla on that. So this does have some scent in the bottom of it. But I'm also gonna, after I pour this, you know, stick in the essential oils, so that it does have that lavender vibration, if you will, or the purity of the essential oil scent. So you can, you know, feel free to mix and match what you're using for your actual scent types, and you may get some really terrible scents. But that's all a part of kind of learning. If you pour candles a lot, your nose is going to get acclimated to the scent's top, middle, and bottom tones. And what I mean by that is the top scent is usually the scent you smell like when you open a candle jar, or, you know, the first scent when lighting. The middle tone is really the structure of the scent. So that's going to be like the embodiment. That's going to be something you smell after you get used to a scent. And the bottom note is usually the heavier notes, like the bases of a scent. So if I were thinking of a bottom note, I poured some cranberry out, and what did I put in the cranberry? Okay, I put some clove and some bayberry in the cranberry. So the bayberry is going to be my bottom note, because bayberry is strong. It's a heavier scent, but it's also something that you're not going to pick up until, you know, the candle burns for a while, or until your nose gets accustomed to the top first scent of the candle and the middle more embodied blended tone of the candle. So that's a little about candle fragrances for you guys. Like I said, you always want to buy you know, I don't know if like craft stores in your area have soy wax, or if you live in the Midwest like I do, like we grow a lot of soy, so we got Cargill up here. But most places, if you go to search candle supply stores, they're going to have a lot of information about your different types of soy wax. Now, soy can only be poured in a container unless you are doing a mix. I just use soy for containers. I have a lot of kids and I got a big dog, so I'm always going to want to keep my candles for the most part in a container. And they're going to also have scents based on what goes best with their wax. Now, when you're ordering scents, I would recommend ordering the tiniest, I would recommend ordering a lot of samples, because samples usually come in 1 ounce bottles. Like this is a 0.5, I think. So they come in 1 ounce bottles. So you would be able to pour with a 1 ounce sample, pretty much 3 of these little ones that are about 4 ounce candles, or 1 big candle jar. And I think they're usually like $2 or something if you get them from a nice place. I know in craft stores they can be like up to 5 or 6 for like 1 ounce of scent. So if you're going to want to order them, you probably want to go to an actual candle supply shop in your area, or to an actual place that specializes online in candle supplies. And you're going to want to order just a sample mix to see what you like, to see what throws good in your candles, and your personal preferences. Now, if you're already using a certain brand of essential oils and you're going with all essential oil candles, you're not going to want to, well, maybe you will. You're not going to want to probably put as much essential oils, because it's a pure scent, into your candle as you would a different type of a scent, because essential oils are pure. They do throw a lot heavier, and they're super expensive. Like I said, I made my sister a rose candle, and I called it the $1 million candle, because I had to use so much rose essential oil in there. But you could also mix your essential oils with a complementary scented oil. Like if you got like a lavender base scent sample, you could always pour the scent in and then use the real lavender essential oil when the scent was actually a little, or when the wax was a little set up, so you're not just burning off that scent with the essential oils right away. I'm going to stop the video because I'm actually going to show you how to pour an essential oil into a candle and give you an idea of what it looks like, what your soy is going to look like essentially at the point where you're ready to actually pour the essential oils in, because it's easier to, I don't know what temperature it is, I just know by sight. So if I give you guys the look of what it actually would look like, that's going to help you a lot more than me just trying to narrow down a temperature for you. So I will be back, guys. Hi guys, we are back with the teacup candle. Now you can see after the candle's set up a little bit, they do get a little, you can just actually take the wick holder off. Now because I'm making this candle for a particular person, I'm going to drop some stones in the bottom, just because the person I'm making it for is a spiritualist, and they do kind of use these things for like cleansing and kind of grounding their energy. And if you read for people, or if you get messages for people, you got to wash out that energy a lot. And this person does love reading, so I can just imagine like it's heavy. So what I'm going to do first, the first stone that I actually selected to put in the bottom is actually a piece of pipestone. And I do know, as a geology person, that is not the technical word for it. But to me, it is a technical word because I'm in Minnesota, and the Lakota actually came from the town that I was in before they went to South Dakota. And just look up Pipestone National Monument if you want any information. But I do refer to this as pipestone. This particular chip was bought, I believe it was I don't know, I used to go to South Dakota a lot in the late 90s. So I did buy this from the little Oglala right outside of the Badlands. So this has meaning to me. It's also shaped like a heart. So I'm putting this in as a representation of the base chakra to just have her be able to ground out that energy. I also have a piece of snowflake obsidian in here that I'm sticking in the bottom. A piece of darker jade and amazonite. Those are for the heart chakra. And I'm of course sticking rose quartz in because she's taking these kind of as a spiritual self-love kind of thing. And then I have a bunch of amethyst excuse me, that I'm sticking in because she's a reader, she's a super psychic reader. So I'm sticking this in just because she does assess the crown chakra a lot, and I do want her to be taking a bath and receiving her own messages and enlightenment and not always just porting it for everybody else. And I'm just kind of putting that in with the understanding. For me, I'm very nerdy, so I'm all about the vibrations of things, and I do understand that our friends, the stones, carry vibrations, and I'm just putting my intention into the candle with that. So when that's lit up, those vibrations will kind of be able to emanate. I do have a lot of mother of pearl here, or natural pearls, naturally shaped pearls that I am going to stick, I think one in the bottom, as well as some lapis lazuli, because the throat chakra being cleared is usually pretty important if you're got to speak to the public. And a couple stones you guys don't need to see because they're personal to her, and she'll see them when she burns them. Yeah. The pearl I'm putting in a lot about just self-love and self-nurturing and kind of getting that feminine energy back in. Now, you guys don't have to be all metaphysical when it comes to rocks. Like, I'm a rock nerd, so that's how I'm going to be about it. But you guys, you guys could stick little, like, any non-flammable surprises in the bottom of your candles. But you don't have to, clearly. It's fun with soy just because, it does have a big melt pool, so those things will be kind of revealed as the candle does burn down. You can see them actually down there. I'm not going to tip the candle though. So this is actually the point. If you look at this, you see it's kind of milky here as opposed to this candle that was just poured. So I can actually put the lavender essential oil there. The candle's really cool. You're able to touch it now. Like it's barely even feels warm to me at this point, as opposed to this one that was just poured. So I'm just going to crack open my essential oil. And I did take the little pourer thing out. They usually come with a bigger pour thing. I did get some scent in there before, and I just want to stir this up a little bit here. And if you can see, the edges of it are almost solidifying at this point. So that's really the point you want to put the essential oils in. Now, they will not blend all the way with the wax. And that's kind of the point, because you don't want these to disperse, before you got it. They're very volatile, I guess, or they have a low wave point. I don't even know if that's the term, but you're going to want to put your essential oils in last, just because they don't have a binder, they don't have a holder, so they're not going to stick as much as a natural scent would stick. So I am just going to wait a little bit more for that candle to set up because I do have some fire polished Czechoslovakian crystals that I'm going to stick on the top of this candle, just to give it some more refracting properties when it does burn. Of course, we have the amethyst color there. I don't know, I might stick a couple pearls in as well. But when it's getting to that point, you know, I'm sticking in really light stones, but I'm still going to want it to get more solid than that because they're just going to dump through at this point. If I were to put them in, I might put some cut jade in too. I don't know. I'll see what I'm led to stick in there when it gets to that point. Oh, and I do have natural, tiny little, naturally formed seed pearls as well that I'm going to stick on the top of there. So maybe we'll see. So I am going to let you guys go until it's actually time to put these on the top, and I think I'm just going to sprinkle them like you would regular sprinkles on a cake or something, and just let them fall wherever they fall. So all right, see you guys soon. All right, guys, so it's been about 3 minutes since the last time I had the camera on, and if you can see, the top of these does when the sides start getting solidified, the tops do go quick as well. And I'm just going to sprinkle some of those fire polished Czech crystals in, and then some pearls. I kind of wanted to get them more in the edging there, but whatever works, I guess. However it turns out is how it's going to turn out. So I got some of those natural pearls in, little seed pearls. And I actually might encrust this whole thing. Let's see how it... Now you could actually put these in on a solidified candle and then just kind of use your heat gun to set these in. I think I might do that. Now when I talk about heat gun, guys, I'm talking about like the heat gun that you might use if you're like a scrapbooker or something. Those I think they're called embossing somethings. I'm just going to stick one mother of pearl, maybe right here too. So if you're someone into intentions, what you're going to want to do when you pour it, I mean, you could look at the cycles of the moon or whatever, you know, like Farmer's Almanac style, or like the astrology of the person. But mostly with me, I use rocks as intention, but I also will, you know, as I finish this candle, as it's topped off, also, of course, be grateful, just show gratefulness for this person, and all the giving of herself that she does do for so many people, is so that she does get the energy when she burns it. Everything has energies, guys. It's just physics. Yeah, so that's how I will finish this one off with. Now for the rest of the candles, for you guys that are just soy candle makers and you just want to make some candles and you don't want to get all weird about it, let me just go back to the rest of them. See, this one is set up already. When it starts getting to this point, you can actually just take the wick holders off and kind of move that around if you need to, if it doesn't look exactly straight to you. This one I actually cut the wick too low, so I'm going to keep on kind of picking this up, and oh, you guys can't even see what I'm doing here. So this one I cut too low, as I do. I'm not a perfectionist, even though I say I'm a perfectionist. But you could just like pick it up. Like the soy is so cool at this point when it's starting to set up. And soy does wash off with soap and water, so it's not like a huge mess like the paraffin candles are. You can clean it off your table with soap and water. You know, still don't, you know, use rags that you're going to either use as fire starters in your fireplace or just going to burn away there. But you know, you guys could do this just for like ritzy soy candles too. Like you could just stick some rocks or whatever in the top of it. It doesn't all have to be metaphysical, although it's all metaphysical, whatever. But if you can see, look, I got some soy candles that are set up here already. You can take the wicks off. After you get your soy candles set up to this point, you know, you are going to want to go back and trim the wick. This top looks pretty perfect here, so I'm not going to hit that with anything. This was another candle that was like at the edge of my pour table, so if you can see, there's like a sinkhole down in there. I'm going to trim that wick first, and then I'm just going to hit that with a heat gun, just to kind of even that out. So yeah, I think that's all you need to know about making soy candles. Just trim the wicks. If you guys haven't used soy candles before, or if the people you're giving them to haven't used soy candles before, just remind them that the whole point of soy, when you light this candle, you are going to want to let it burn for 1 to 2 hours on the first light, just because you do want it to get a pretty big melt pool going, so that it does burn evenly throughout the candle. The nice thing about soy is it does not stick to the jar sides as much as paraffin, so you can reuse your candle jars over and over again. Let's look at the other one I stuck things in. So yeah, that top is a little bit different. It's a little bit shaggy, but I'll just hit it with a heat gun. Like I said, this one's mine, so it doesn't really matter. I guess I'll just light it probably. So yeah, just tell the people that you're giving it to, or if it's you, you know, you do want to burn these for 1 to 2 hours on the first light. Now, if you're using the Eco paper core wicks, it is going to get a big ball on the top of it when you burn it. So you're just going to want to, when you blow it out, either snip that ball off or just grab that ball, because it's actually called a self-trimming wick. So you shouldn't have to trim it. You take that ball off so it doesn't fall into your wax and kind of make a yucky mess. And then it will burn clean down the sides. It won't leave any wax. It's better for the environment. Clearly, it's a renewable resource, not made of petroleum products. And it smells better. I know some people use like the soy wax for like lotions and stuff. I don't personally, because I worked with soy for like 20 years and I poured like thousands of candles a day. So I know what it's like when you get soy wax all over your body. To me, it's kind of crazy, but you know, some people do use it in different things, so that's fine. Everybody knows what works with their body specifically. And I am going to pour out the rest of the candles I have out here. And if you guys have any questions, just put them in the comment box. I'd be happy to help you. If you guys can't find like a local dealer of soy, you know, I could ship some pounds of soy out to you, whatever. For a general standard, you guys should be getting, like, you can get a 50-pound box of soy right now for like, I don't know, like $100 with shipping pretty much anywhere in the country. So you guys should really think about per pound of soy wax. You don't really want to pay, or I guess per 2 pound. No, yeah, per pound. You know, by standard with shipping, like, it should be about $2. So you should be able to get like 10 pounds of wax with shipping. You know, not for around 20. Like, don't pay like $40 for 10 pounds of soy wax. That's ridiculous. Yeah, so I am going to let you guys go. I'm going to finish pouring these candles up, and hopefully I'll get this video posted later today. I should light some candles and just kind of show you what I'm talking about with the melt pool, if you guys don't know. And maybe I will show you zapping it with a heat gun. Now, if you guys don't have a heat gun, actually, in a pinch, you can just heat up an iron and like place it close to the wax, because it's got such a low melt point. It's actually gonna even right out that way. So yeah, let them sit for a couple days, burn them when they're at the bottom. you know, you can just swipe out that wax and reuse the container. So, all right, I hope you liked my video on how to make soy candles with stones or crystals if you prefer that. So if you liked this video, like it. I am going to be loading a tutorial video on how to make lye soaps as well. I learned how to make that from my grandma Lichtblau. So I will post that, and I hope you guys enjoy that as well. All right, well, have a good day, and hope this gave you something extra to do. Bye.